Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. What a great group this is. You are a good-looking crowd. I want to thank everyone here tonight who so generously supported our effort to restore and revitalize the Kennedy Center. It was in rough shape, to a lesser extent, but the White House was in rough shape. You know, we're bringing the White House back room by room. And they sort of laugh when they say, well, the Lincoln bedroom, we had to fix it up. It wasn't looking too good, but we fixed it up. Leaving it the way it was, but fixed up. It's in tippy-top shape. You know, I always used to say tippy. It's got to be tippy-top. But you had a lot of other presidents that weren't into that. I am. I've always been into it. The Oval Office has reached a new level. The Cabinet Room. Everyone wants to see the Cabinet Room, and it's so beautiful. Now, we took some of the paintings that were downstairs in vaults. They have big vaults. They have 2,000 paintings. Over 2,000. Those floors should not have been there. And we've replaced them with the most beautiful marble, statuary marble. They call it, in Italy, statuario. Great white and black marble that forms Greece and big parts of Italy during a time when Italy was extremely strong, and Greece when Greece was Greece. And they had that. And we now have that in the White House, replacing one by one tiles that were not good. But we've fixed the White House, and we've fixed the Kennedy Center. The Kennedy Center has some work to be done. We've worked very hard on it, actually. I spent a lot of time there with contractors. I mean, I go around, I have 2 jobs. I have a construction job which is really like relaxation for me because I've been doing it all my life. But we're fixing the Kennedy. I said, yeah, you need a new roof. They say, sir, there's a lot of water coming down. You know, they didn't know you need a new roof. It's been there for like 45, 50 years. And we're doing everything. We're doing brand new air conditioning. Carrier has been so incredible. They made a donation, a big donation on the ballroom. We were bidding out the ballroom and Carrier came along and they said, sir, we'd like to contribute the air conditioning for the ballroom. It was like $17 million. It's a lot of air conditioning and heating. And a great steel company came along and said, sir, would like to contribute the steel. That's a big steel. That's a big account. And we had Caterpillar tractor come along and said, sir, we'd like to contribute all of the tractors, all of the excavation equipment, and all of the lifts and generators and everything else you have in the ballroom, because it's got a lot of very complex equipment that you wouldn't think of. So I want to thank Caterpillar, and others are going to be made public, but they've really been very gracious. And we're having the same thing happen at the Kennedy Center. They view it as a very important thing. And we have marble experts, some of the greatest marble people in anywhere in the world. And they're taking this marble that was in such bad shape that everyone said, we have to rip it down, we have to take it down. No, the marble is great. Big, beautiful slabs. You don't get them like that anymore. It's very hard. Giant, they call them, the giant slabs. They don't make them. But with tender, loving care. And I always say, remember, if you take 1/100th of an inch off the top of the marble, you have brand new marble. People don't know that. They see the marble and they say, oh, the marble's stained or the marble's gone. I say, no. If you go just a little bit, if you take just a little bit of that skin off and you get it down, it's called grinding. You grind it down just 1/100th of an inch, you have a brand new slab of marble. And you've saved a little money, to put it mildly, like millions. The marble job was going to cost $59 million. They thought we had to take all the marble off the building and replace the marble with new marble. It was going to cost 59 to We had prices from 59 to 75 million. I think I'm going to spend $1 million to have it made beautiful, and what you replace it with was not nearly as good as what we already have. So it's sort of, I don't know. I like to tell you those little construction because we talk politics all the time, and I like politics too. I said somebody to somebody the other day, am I a better politician or construction real estate person? And they didn't know how to answer that question. I'm not sure how to answer it either if you want to know the truth, but I actually get great relaxation out of fixing the White House and fixing the Kennedy Center. And it takes a little time, but not really, because it's time that some people want to rest. I don't really want to rest. I want to do things. And to me, it relaxes me. It's almost like it's really almost better than resting. And we're bringing these places of great distinction, we're bringing them back. And the Kennedy Center is going to be incredible. Within 10 months, you're going to see. We've already done tremendous amounts of work. But within 10 months, you're going to see something that you'll really be amazed at. You know, one of the things with the Kennedy Center, because this is really honoring that tonight, but the sound is great. And if you don't have good sound, Lincoln, I don't want to say anything bad about Lincoln Center, but they've had a lot of problems over the years with sound. A lot of you, some of you on that board, you're here tonight. Very distinguished board also. But as you know, they have at Lincoln Center, they have a sound problem, and they've rebuilt one of their great buildings because the sound was always bad, and they can't get it right. They can't get it right. It's a very hard thing to do. There's a little luck to that, you know. You have to be a little bit lucky. And, some of the greatest opera houses in the world in Europe were built 200 years ago, 300 years ago. And they had no sound engineers in those days, but they did have a lot of marble and stone. And marble and stone make really for great sound. I see. We have Gloria, we have Kiss, we have George Strait, we have Think of It, we have the great Michael Crawford. And they know what I'm talking about probably better than anybody else in the whole world. But sound is a big deal, and if you don't have it in a building, you pretty much never have it. They rebuild it. They spend millions and millions of dollars. They take it apart. They put up new walls. They put up new seats. They put up new everything. And they open it up, and it's a disaster. And the one thing with Kennedy Center, they have great sound. They've always been known to have great sound. And we're putting up a large slabs of marble and couple of the great halls, and we did some testing. It's made it as good as it is. It's made it even better. Marble can do that. So we reviewed everything you have to review, and reversed the decline of this cherished institution. And the Kennedy Center was really, the money they spent over the years. They spent so much money, and you couldn't see where the money was spent. We're still trying to find out, where did they spend all that money? But they didn't know what they were doing, and it's a shame, and we almost lost that building. That building was very close, structurally, in every other way. We've totally reversed it, and now it's going to be in great shape for literally for 100 years. It's going to be in great shape. It's going to be in better shape than ever before. So we've done a real job. We've secured historic funding for the Kennedy Center, and we got that in the great big beautiful bill. That's a bill that everybody said was impossible to get passed. They said you can't do it, it's too big. It was supposed to be 17 bills. I said, let's put it in one, because the Democrats are absolutely crazy. And I have some Democrat friends here, but they're crazy. And they might have approved a couple of them, but most of them they wouldn't. I said, if we put it all in one, there's something for everybody. And we got it approved with a pretty small majority. We have the majority, but pretty small majority. We got it approved, and we got some support. We got a little support from some of the rational Democrats. But one of the things we were able to do is help. Help very much the Kennedy Center. We got so many other things, though. Largest tax cuts in history. No tax on, think of this, tips. No for the workers. No tax on tips. No tax on Social Security for our great seniors. No tax on overtime. Nobody thought that was possible. You're allowed if you buy a car. These people don't know about buying cars because you buy cars. Probably you're not going out to borrow a lot of money. The group in this room. But you know what? Middle-income people. They never had this before. Or if you go out and borrow money, which almost everyone does to buy a car, you're now allowed to deduct the interest for income tax purposes. Never happened before. It's a great thing. We have so many things in the great big beautiful bill. But one of the things we have is we're going to rebuild our city, Washington, D.C. We now have one of the safest cities in the country. It was a horror show when I came here. A year and a half ago, this city was so dangerous. A year ago, it was so dangerous. We've been there 10 months, and now we're setting records for safety. We've had virtually no crime. We had terrorism 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Horrible terrorism, but it sounds like we were doing so well that the terrorists felt they didn't want to see us do very well. But we have right now the safest capital. We have a safer capital as anywhere in the world. And we had one of the most unsafe capitals in the world. Thank you. And I walk through the White House, and I'll see especially young women say, "Sir, thank you very much." And I know immediately what they're saying. They're not thanking me for the 8 wars that we've stopped. They're not thanking me for even the tax cuts or any of the other things we've done. They're thanking me because they can actually walk to the White House. They feel safe now in the city. And they are. And I want to thank our National Guard. They've been unbelievable. The National Guard has been great. And Christy and Tom Homan and all the people that work so hard on that. And as you probably noticed, we just went into New Orleans and we went into Memphis, Tennessee. We went in a light way because we have a lot of opposition there with these people. They want to have crime. I mean, it's the craziest thing. Chicago, but we've brought down crime and just giving it a little dose of what we do really well. But we'll, at some point, just, go in and do it exactly the way we want. We won't have any crime, and we'll have very little crime in Chicago. Almost none. We'll stop it everywhere. We do stop it everywhere. And some. We had a governor, a very good governor from Louisiana, Jeff Landry, just called and he said, "Please do me a favor. Would you send the troops into, New Orleans? It's really gotten bad." I said, "We'll do it." We just sent them in. Within about 3 days, everyone said, "It's like a different place." And he's a smart governor. And some of the governors, you'd be surprised at some of the ones that are calling. But we're stopping crime. I said we were going to during the campaign. We're going to stop crime. Nobody knew we were going to stop it to this extent. Nobody knew we were going to have a border where in 6 months not one person came into our country illegally. Think of that. So we went from the worst border, where millions and millions, 25 million people over the course of the 4 years, came into our country, many from prisons and gang members, drug dealers, mental institutions. They came into our country getting them out. Have to get them out. Murderers. We have 11,888 murderers. Many of them are now either out or in jail, because he'll murder again. More than 50% of those people murdered more than one person. But we took a very strong stand, and people are really liking it. And by the way, drugs coming into our country by sea down 94%. Okay, down 94%. And I'm trying to figure out who the other 6% is, because frankly, I think they are the most. They got to be the bravest people. Who are the 6% that are still trying to come in, but down 94%? And we're going to start that same process on land because we know every route. We know every house. We know where they live. We know everything about them. They killed 300,000 people last year. And that's like a war. That's like a terrible war. Not going to let it happen. So, we're doing a job that nobody else could do. But we're building this institution back to what it should be, and the nation's premier venue for the arts. And we're going to see that because DC is now a safe place. People want to be here. The restaurants are opening. You know, if you go back a year, nobody wanted to go to restaurants. They lost 40% of their restaurants. They closed. They had no business. And the restaurants that were open were doing no business. And people felt safe, unsafe, even sitting waiting for a meal. People would come in and do bad things. We don't have that anymore. And now restaurants are open. You can't even get into a restaurant now in Washington, D.C. It's a beautiful thing to watch. And we're showcasing our country. And we're always going to have it, because the capital of the United States of America has to be a safe and beautiful place. And we're fixing it. We're fixing the roads. We're removing the graffiti on the most beautiful marble you've ever seen. We're removing granite. I like granite better on the outside because it's real easy, but the marble is very porous. During the Biden administration, they sprayed a lot of red paint on a lot of white marble, and you still see it. You know, they worked real hard to get it off, but it goes down deep. It's a disgrace what they were allowed to do. It was also a disgrace that they allowed millions of people into our country illegally, and people that were not people that we want to have. They weren't people that could love our country. We want people coming into our country that can love our country. So, the generosity of so many outstanding donors, and Rick mentioned some of them, but we've had so many people that just are so generous. It's been really incredible. And as you know, this is America's 250th anniversary. So we have all of these people, and next year. But next year is right around the corner, and that's going to be big. Then we have the World Cup coming, and we have the Olympics coming. And you know, I got the Olympics, and I got the World Cup. I cannot take credit for getting 250 years. That was just, we sort of lucked out. I tried to do that, but it didn't work. We lucked out, but the 250 is going to be incredible. In fact, we're having on June 14th, we're having a fight. All of the greatest champions in the world, the UFC fight. They're building an arena in front of the White House, if you can believe it. Then the 6,000 seats, and then, they're going to build it for the fight. They're going to have the greatest champions of the world coming, and they're going to have over 100,000 people out. They're putting screens all over certain parts of Washington so everyone can see it. I don't think there'll be anything like it. It'll be on a Sunday night, June 14th. Flag Day happens to be my birthday, but I didn't do it for that reason. Just it actually, sir. We like the June 14th date. They said, you know, it's my birthday. They didn't know it, but they picked it. But it's I'll take a little heat on that, but it's not that. But I will tell you that's going to be some. Everyone's asking me for tickets for the UFC, but it's going to be great. They're going to have the greatest champions in the world all fighting that night. The great Dana White does a great job, and he wanted to do it. And the White House will be the background of the fight. There'll never be anything like this. There has never been and there never will be anything like that. But a few hours ago, I had the tremendous privilege of presenting the 2025 Kennedy Center honors with their medallions. Their beautiful medallions from Tiffany, right in the Oval Office. And we thought we'd do it here. We thought we'd do it at different places and maybe pick the one that we like the best. And we said, no, that hits so well. And the Oval Office, right, Michael? The Oval Office. He said it. I've never seen anything like this. There's something about the Oval Office that's special. It's really just special. Even in its poorer state, it was still the Oval Office. And we appreciate it, and we have great respect. So many things happened in the Oval Office, and they got to see the beautiful cabinet room, which we've brought back to life like it should be. Beautiful. It's a beautiful room. And it's really a beautiful room. Once again, actually more beautiful than it ever was. It was never like this. But the American people are proud of our country. We're proud of our beautiful White House. And we're proud of our beautiful Kennedy Center. And now you have it at the top of the line. The lives they've led.